With the start of the 2023 to 2024 NFL season coming soon, I thought I'd go through every single starting quarterback in the league and potentially starting running back today. I don't know if we'll get to that, and say how they're going to do this season. I based it on 5,000 yards. You can see the tiers here. Backups will go in the backup category, who I don't think will play at all. They'll go there. And if they're a team that might start two QBs, I'll try to go combine their yards together, which there are a few of them. Start it. So if I do have time, I will do running backs. Wide receivers I'll save for another day since there are a lot more. I'll try to do tight ends as well. Maybe group them with receivers. We'll see. But I'd like to get into this as soon as possible, so maybe we can do the running backs. So let's start off. We first got Cooper Rush. He will be in the backup section, as well as Sam Darnold. Here we first have ourselves Justin Fields, who is a very interesting player, to say the least. Last year, not too great in the passing game. Rushing game, he was pretty damn good, though. I can see him playing a bigger factor in the passing game this year than he did last year. But I'm not going to put him at 4,000 yards. I know Bears fans want to see him there, but I can't put him at 4,000 yards yet. I'm going to say 3,800 yards, as well as, let's say, 800 rushing yards as well. I say he throws 30, I'm not going to say 30 touchdowns. I'll say 26 touchdowns and 9 picks. I think DJ Moore is a great addition. They still have Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, plus Cole Kmet got a big extension. I think he's going to have a better passing year. However, they also have 3 running backs that could potentially all be playing snaps in Roschon Johnson, Dante Foreman, and Khalil Herbert. So that might also take away from his passing yards and his rushing stats. And he can rush, so the rushing stats are going to be up there as well. I do have him in the 3,500 to 3,999 category, which is where he'll go. Next up, we got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I'm going to put at 4,400 yards, 33 touchdowns, and let's say 8 picks. Rushing, and I'll give him about 500 rushing yards. I don't know how many. I'm not going to give rushing touchdowns since it's not that big of a stat. But I'm putting Jalen Hurts in the 44 in this category. I don't, based on how much he runs, I don't think he's up here or up here. I'm putting him here for right now. The very few players are going to be up here. Maybe like 2 or 3 or 4 players will be up here. And Jalen Hurts does not make that cut because he is going to rush a lot. He's going to throw the ball fairly a lot, but he's going to rush a lot. Who are their running backs? They have Rashad Penny and someone else that I'm forgetting the name of. Oh, and DeAndre Swift, who they just signed. They're going to want to use both of them. I have them doing pretty well as well. So I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to get that 4,500 point. So I'm going to put him there. Geno Smith, I'm going to put in the same place as Justin Fields. I have him throwing 3,700 yards, around 30 touchdowns, 11. I'm going to say 12 picks. He does throw the ball. He's going to throw a few more interceptions this year. I think he'll fall. I think he's going to regress a bit due to his age, but I don't think he's going to be awful, and I don't think he's going to have many rushing yards. But they added, of course, to add JSN in the draft. They still have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. This is one of the best receiver trios in the league. And they do have a very good running game with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who I see doing pretty well on the ground. So I don't really see Geno Smith throwing as much as people think. So I think 3,700 yards is perfect. 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Bailey Zappi, I'll put in the backup category. Various Titans QBs. I'll say various Titans QBs because I do think all 3 Titans QBs are going to start at some point, those being Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, and Malik Willis. I think Tannehill starts out, and I could see a shift to Levis or Willis, and then a shift to the other one. I could see only 2 of them playing, depending on one of the backups doing well, but I don't think Ryan Tannehill is going to stay as the starter. I have them combining for a total of 3,400 yards. I have them in the lowest category here. I don't see them throwing as much. When I get to the other 2, I'll put them there, but I don't see them throwing much Derrick Henry's going to be still a massive piece. I see him rushing. I see him getting probably the most attempts in the league. Plus, they drafted Tyjae Spears. I see them running the ball a lot. Really, DeAndre Hopkins might help out with the passing yards, but I don't think he's enough. Outside of DeAndre Hopkins, you really don't have anyone else except for like Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Ikine, Chigakonkwo. I don't see the Titans doing too well in the passing game. Hendon Hooker I have as a backup. Josh Allen, I'm going to put at 4,800 yards, 42 touchdowns. I'm going big in touchdowns, but I see him throwing 13 picks. Last year he showed that he was not smart with the ball. He threw a lot of picks. I really don't trust him as much as I would last year. I wouldn't say he's an MVP candidate just for that reason. I also see him getting around 600 rushing yards. Still have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. Still have a decent receiving core. They're switching to probably a 2 tight end set of Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. But Allen, I don't see him throwing 5,000 yards. I don't see him as an MVP candidate. Maybe for the first half of the season I will, but after that, I really don't think so. Next up, Jimmy G. Jimmy G comes into a pretty strange situation in Oakland. I really don't... their defense is what's holding me back from Jimmy throwing a lot. Their defense is going to not be on the field too much because the offenses they're going to play against are going to go down the field. They're not going to be able to get a stop on defense. Really, I don't think their defense is really great. And Jimmy G himself isn't really great. I'm going to put him in the same category as Ryan Tannehill. Outside of Devontae Adams, I'm going to put him up with Justin Fields and Geno. Maybe 3,700 yards. He have a good receiving core, but I don't see him on the field as much. I could see Aiden O'Connell starting. I really don't see Jimmy G doing too much in the passing game. Josh Jacobs, if he doesn't sit out, which I think he'll stay, I don't think he'll sit out. I think he's going to be a big factor in the running game. I really don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have that great of a season. I see him doing decently well with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, now Michael Mayer. But outside of that, Jimmy G really isn't this QB that I really want on my team. Next up, we got Jordan Love. I'm putting Jordan Love in the same category as them. I see him throwing 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns to 11 to 12 interceptions, and I see him maybe getting 400 rushing yards on the ground. Jordan Love is basically a rookie at this point. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers. I don't expect him to make a big flash. They don't have really the greatest receiving core. They lost some pieces at the receiving core. They lost Robert Tonyan. They lost Mercedes Lewis. They still have Aaron Jones, who is still going to be a good passing threat, and Christian Watson, I think, is going to have a good year this year. But outside of him, they really don't have much at receiver. I see them running the ball out of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, of course. He's going to run the ball. I said 400 yards. He probably could go more than that. The receiving core does not have really a great offense around him. The O-line's still pretty decent, but I don't see him doing too great. I don't see the Packers being like this great team. I see the Packers maybe as a 7-10, 8-9 team, and part of it is Jordan Love is still. This is his first year. I know Packers fans are like expecting him to like be God, but I don't. You can't expect him to be God. He's not going to do great, but I think he's still going to be okay. He's going to put up rookie numbers because he is basically a rookie quarterback. Few backups here. I don't know who these guys are. Andy Dalton I think he's on the Panthers now. Might start. I could see him starting a few games at the beginning of the season. Bryce Young, the first rookie QB, the first real rookie QB that is on this list. Bryce Young, I'm going to put him in this category as well. I see him throwing 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, 9 picks. You can't say much about preseason. He didn't look great in preseason, but he didn't look horrible. And the O-line is really a problem there as well. He could get squashed. He could get injured. I could see him missing a couple games due to the O-line being horrendous. Especially in that preseason game. I just said you can't really count preseason. But I don't know what to think of Bryce Young. He doesn't have the receiving core. Adam Thielen's okay. DJ Chark is okay. Jonathan Mingo could do pretty good. But he really doesn't have a team built around him. I think 37 to 3,800 yards is pretty reasonable for his talent. So I'll put him in that category. But he's also probably going to rush on the ground. But I don't really trust that O-line. And I can see Andy Dalton starting a couple games before he starts. Jacoby Brissett as a backup, I will put him in the backup category. Daniel Jones. I don't like Daniel Jones this year. I didn't like him last year. I don't get the hype. Daniel Jones, I'm putting in the same tier as the Titans QBs. I don't like it. Saquon's going to run a lot. The receiving core is not there. He got Darren Waller, yes. He has Saquon. He can throw to Saquon, but the receiving core is not there. O-line is still not great, except tackles probably, but I don't get the hype for Danny Dimes. I see him 600 yards on the ground. I say 3,300 yards. 19 touchdowns, 6 picks. That's kind of what he had last year. I think Danny Dimes is he's just going to be a quarterback. That's all I can say. I think this is Mason Rudolph. I'm going to put him in the backup category. Lamar Jackson thinks he's going to throw for 6,000 yards. I can tell you for sure that's not happening. Though I do see him breaking 4K with Jalen Hurts. I say 4,100 yards. 4,100 yards. 25 touchdowns. 6 or 7 picks. And I say 1,000 yards on the ground with a couple touchdowns there. The team around Lamar Jackson has improved. I will say, defense, I'm not going to say as much, but the offense has definitely improved. O-line hasn't changed much, but the O-line is still pretty good for the Ravens. Receiving core is upgraded amazingly. OBJ, Zay Flowers, and whoever starts at the 4 receiver, it could be Rashad Bateman or Devin Duvernay. He still has Mark Andrews. I don't care who it is. I think the Ravens have an 11-6 season coming and a wild card round exit, obviously, because they're not going to win the division. But 4,100 yards seems pretty reasonable to him. OBJ's going to catch a lot of stuff. Zay Flowers has looked impressive so far. And the third receiver, really don't need. Mark Andrews basically serves as your third receiver. The running game, I don't think will play much as a factor. J.K. Dobbins has health concerns. Who else do they have? Gus Edwards has health concerns. I don't really trust their running game outside of Lamar Jackson, so I have him at 4,100 yards, maybe 4,200 yards. We'll see. Joe Burrow, I'm going to put with Josh Allen. I have him second in the league in passing, just behind, you can probably guess who it is. Is he even on this list? I don't know if he is. I haven't seen him on this. He is. But Joe Burrow, 4,900 yards, 46 touchdowns, 10 picks. I don't see him doing too many rushing yards. That receiving core is so much better. I cannot tell you enough. I still don't know who they have at tight end. I don't know why I said so much better, but it's still great. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd are still probably the best receiving core in the league. I don't know who else would take him. Joe Burrow is going to have another great season. I don't remember how well we did last season, but I'm hoping that he does better in the playoffs. I don't think he's going to take a step up. I think he'll play it the same, which is still good. If you're playing like Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow plays the same as he did last year, that's still an 11-6, 12-5 team. I can see him going 13-4. I could see him as a 2 seed in the AFC. I could see him as the 1 seed in the AFC. I don't know, but I don't have much to say about Joe Burrow. I think he's doing well. I think you know why. So we'll continue onwards. Next up, who is this? This is CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, I don't know what to say. I'm going to put CJ Stroud with Bryce Young. He's going to throw a lot. The running game is there with Dameon Pierce, but outside Dameon Pierce, they don't have anything else. CJ Stroud isn't the most mobile of quarterbacks ever, but he can probably run for a little bit. I have him throwing for 3,600 and about 22, 23 touchdowns to maybe 13 picks. He's gonna have a okay season. He doesn't have a arguably has a worse receiving core than Bryce Young. His receiver one is Bobby Trees. Like, it's gonna be Robert Woods is receiver one. Receiver two is probably gonna end up being probably John Mechie. I am high on John Mechie. I have him winning comeback player of the year. I have CJ Stroud throwing 30. I already said that, but the receiving core around him isn't great. I bet they're going to run the ball a lot with Dameon Pierce as well. I don't see the Texans doing very well either. Tua turned the ball over. Tua Tagovailoa. I'm putting him up here in 4,500 yards. I don't care what you say. Tua, if he stays healthy, which I think he will, I say 4,600 yards, 39 touchdowns, only 10 picks. I think Tua is going to have a masterclass of a season. Running game is not going to be great. Throw it out the window. Passing game, I don't care. You got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Greatest receiving duo in the NFL. Changed my mind. It's not T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. It's not DeAndre Hopkins and Traylon Burks. It's not A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tua is going to have a great season, I can tell you. Dolphins are going to win that division. It's going to be because of Tua and that defense and his receivers. Tua, 4,600 yards. Tyreek's going to have 2,000 yards this year. I can assure you. And Jalen Waddle's going to have 1,500 yards. I don't care. Those are the only two receivers on that team. Next up, we got Big Cock Brock. I don't know what to say about Brock Purdy. This team, the 49ers are such a weird team. I don't know what to say. I'll put Brock. I'll put him here. I can see Trey Lance somehow starting this year. I want Trey Lance to do well. I like Brock Purdy, but Trey Lance, they spent a big pick on him. I can see Trey Lance starting midseason. I can see something happening to Brock Purdy. I'm saying 3,900 yards in that offense. I really want to say more. I'm moving him up to 40. I'm moving him to the 40,000. I don't know what he's going to throw. He could have a great season or he could have a horrible season. The running game is going to be great, though. I can tell you that. That's going to take a lot of passes away from him. McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell are going to probably combine for over 2,000 yards. I put Purdy there. The receiving course there, they got Deebo Samuel. They got Brandon Ayuk. They got CMC. And George Kittle. I don't know what to say about the 49ers. Moving on, Taysom Hill, putting him in backup category. I don't know what he's going to do. Drew Lock, backup category. Matthew Stafford. I have him and Stetson Bennett starting this year. Matthew Stafford, even if he doesn't get hurt, I see him getting replaced by Stetson Bennett, but I don't see him doing very well. Either of them combined. I don't see him combining too much. 3,400 yards. You still got Cooper Kupp. You got Tyler Higbee. But outside of that, you really don't have anything. You didn't really get anything in the draft on offense. I can't really say anything good about the Rams. I think they're in contention for the number one overall pick. 3,400 yards. I can't really put him anywhere else. Mac Jones. I'm putting Mac Jones here. I don't think Mac Jones is going to be stellar, but I don't think he's going to be bad. Bill O'Brien definitely is going to help him out. I say 3,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. Bill O'Brien's going to help him out, but they still have the run game. The receiving core has gotten better, I will say. They basically swapped the receiver, Jacoby Myers, for the same receiver, and Juju Smith-Schuster. They still have Devontae Parker. They still have Mike Gesicki, and now Hunter. They still have Mike Gesicki. They now have Mike Gesicki, but they have Hunter Henry. That's a pretty good tight end duo. I think it might be one of the best tight end duos in the league. They're going to run the ball out. Ramondre and Ezekiel Elliott, of course, are both going to do pretty darn well on the ground. I see them rushing a lot, so I'm putting Mac at 3,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. Kenny Mittens, Kenny Pickett. I don't like the Kenny Pickett hype. I don't. The receiving core is not there. It's not. They have George Pickens. I don't like Deontay Johnson. I like George Pickens a little bit. He's okay. Big Pat, he's okay as well. I think he's a bit overrated as well. Don't kill me. He's a good tight end, don't get me wrong, but he's not like this top-tier tight end. Kenny Pickett, 3,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, 10 picks. The rushing game's going to do pretty well. Najee Harris, I don't know. They have Jaylen Warren, who kind of did pretty well last year, I will say. So Kenny Pickett, I don't see much out of him. I don't care. I don't care, Steelers fans. Shoot me all you want. Trevor Lawrence. Do I say more? Trevor Lawrence is winning MVP this year. I don't care. The Jags are the best team in the AFC, aside from maybe the Dolphins and the Chiefs and the Bengals and a lot of teams. I don't care. Trevor Lawrence is winning MVP. I don't care. You have a great receiving core, arguably a top 5 receiving core, I would say. Christian Kirk surprised a lot of people. Zay Jones surprised a lot of people. What's his face? Evan Ingram surprised a lot of people. ETN caught good, is a decent pass catching back. They're all good. I gotta give some respect to my boy T-Law. They got the team. And they got Calvin Ridley now. Calvin Ridley is going to pop off. Trevor Lawrence. I'm putting him at 5th. I have him leading the league in passing, above Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what you say. Trevor Lawrence is the best QB in the league this year. No, he's not, because he can't run as much as Patrick Mahomes. But I have him throwing more yards. I have him throwing 46 touchdowns. 46. That's good. I'm saying 46 touchdowns. No, put it at 46 is fine. That's what Joe Burrow throwing. I threw him throwing 11 picks. I don't care. Trevor Lawrence is going to pop off this year. I don't care what you say. Who is this? Mike White? Screw you. You're going in backups. Okay. Sam Howell. I'm drinking. I'm sorry, I got hyped up. Sam Howell. As a Commanders fan, I have to be very, very, very I have to be a homer. I like Sam Howell. I don't see him throwing like 4,000 yards, though. Don't get me wrong. I have him throwing 3,700 yards, maybe 3,600 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 13 to 14 picks. I have him throwing a lot of picks this year. I don't care. He's looked good in training camp, but his training camp preseason, he didn't throw any picks. He threw a dime to Dotson. I don't know what to say about Howell. I'm skeptical as a Commanders fan, of course. But I see Howell doing pretty well. The rushing game is going to be pretty good, though, as well, with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. And Chris Rodriguez is going to do pretty well this year as well. Howell's going to rush too. I have him rushing for 600 yards. I can see Sam Howell doing anywhere from the bottom of the league to top 15. I can see him doing pretty well, so I'm putting him at 3,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 picks. Not going too crazy on him like I did for Trevor Lawrence. Teddy Bridgewater probably not going to start. Davis Mills not going to start. Gardner Minshew not going to start. Matt Ryan is still a free agent. Will Levis putting up the Titans QBs. Dak Prescott. I don't know why I said his name so loudly. Dak is getting hazed. I'm putting him at 4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns. I still think he's going to throw a lot of picks based on training camp. I'm going to give him 13 picks. I'm going to give him more. I think he had 15 last year. I'm not sure, but I'll give him 13 picks. Put it down a bit. I think he'll throw a lot of picks, but the receiving core is still pretty damn good. Of course, they added Brandon Cooks. They still got CeeDee Lamb. They got Michael Gallup, who played pretty well. Jake Ferguson, I see having a breakout year at tight end. And really now the only back on there is Tony Pollard. I can see Deuce Vaughn playing a little bit of receiver maybe. He probably could be a good slot receiver, but I see Dak doing pretty well. I don't care what you say. Dak is not that bad. I'm putting Dak there. I don't really have anything else to say about Dak except that I really, as a Commanders fan, I hope he does horribly, but as a football player, I really like Dak, and I hope he does well. I hope he does well for the first 7 games, gets traded at the deadline to a team outside of the AFC East, and does pretty well. That's what I want Dak Prescott to do. Russell Wilson. Russ is going to have a bounce back year. He's not going to look like the Russ of old, but he's not going to look like 2022 Russ. And 2020, he's not going to look like 2022 Russ, which was something I don't want to remember. Patrick Starr even doesn't like him, but Russ, I see him throwing 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, 12 picks. I don't like the receiving core in Denver. That was part of the problem. I don't think Sean Payton's going to boost them a whole lot, but really outside of Jerry Jeudy, they don't have anyone. Tim Patrick's out for another season. Cortland Sutton's never going to be a productive receiver. They really don't have a tight end. Javonte Williams isn't really a receiving back. Samaje Perine is kind of, but he's going to be the backup. Russ is going to have a very odd year. I see the Broncos finishing last in the division still at like 7-10, but he's not going to do horribly. Bunch of other backup QBs in this guy and this guy. I don't know who either of them are. Kyler Murray, I'm going to group him and my boy Colt McCoy, who is not on this list, unless I missed him. I think I did miss him. Kyler Murray. I like Kyler Murray. Him and Colt McCoy. I'm putting Kyler Murray and Colt McCoy, combined at 3,600. Another player he's starting, Clayton Tune as well. I'll throw him in here. I don't think he's on this list. He might be. I'm not sure. I don't know what he looks like. But Clayton Tune, I can see starting. I know he did pretty well in the preseason. I can see him starting a couple games if Colt McCoy doesn't do well before Kyler gets back, or if Kyler comes back and doesn't do well. If Kyler comes back and does well, I don't think they replace him, and I think Kyler Murray can do pretty good. 3,600 yards, 22 touchdowns, 15 combined picks. Kyler, when he gets back, I bet he's going to come back at midway through the season, so I'm going to throw like 3,500 yards, which would combine to like 600 yards on the ground, but I don't think Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune is going to run that often. So not much else to say. The receiving core really isn't there. Zach Ertz should not be starting. I don't care what you say. Trey McBride should be the one starting. Hollywood Brown is pretty good. Rondale Moore is pretty good. They drafted a receiver that I'm forgetting the name of, who is decent, but they really don't have a receiving core. They're going to run the ball a lot of James Conner. Even when Kyler gets back, I see him running the ball a lot. So I'm going to put Kyler in the 3,600 yard tier. Malik Willis goes with the Titans QBs. Anthony Richardson. I'm going to put him here in 3,400 yards because of how much he's going to run. Richardson, I see people saying he's going to run for 1,000 yards. No, I give him 800. I see him throwing 3,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, 13 picks. I see that TD to interception ratio being awful just because of how raw he is. On the ground, he's going to do pretty good. But outside of that, there's nothing much to really say. Put him there at 3,300 yards. He's going to do okay. They're going to run the hell out of the ball of JT if he's back, though. And the receiving core really isn't there. Who is this? Is this Stetson Bennett? I have no clue. He's going there. Trey Lance, I'll put there because I have him. I'm going to group him with Brock Purdy. Zach Wilson, put him here because he's not going to start. Jameis Winston here. Baker Mayfield. I'm the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. Baker Mayfield, he's going to throw over 4,000 yards. That is Baker Mayfield. I don't care what you say. He's going to throw for 4,000 yards on the dot. I guarantee you he's going to throw for 4,000 yards on the dot. 34 touchdowns, 16 picks. Yes, a lot of picks, but a lot of touchdowns. That receiving core is deadly. You cannot tell me otherwise. I know Russell Gage, as I'm recording this, has a season-ending ACL injury, but still. They got a good team. They got a good receiving core. Rachaad White, I can see catching passes. They still got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is guaranteed to have a 1,000-yard season, so that's already 1,000 yards to Baker. And then Chris Godwin, I can see doing pretty well as well. Those two are going to get a lot of yards as well. Receiver 3, there really isn't one due to Russell Gage, of course, having a torn ACL now. I think it's a torn ACL, I'm not sure. But Cade Otton played some tight ends for the Buccaneers after Cameron Brate really stopped. Same with the other tight end that they had another tight end. I'm forgetting who it was. Baker Mayfield is going to have a good year. I don't care what you say. Bucks, not playoff contenders. I see him still finishing second to last or dead last in the division. I'll put him there. Patrick Mahomes the second. Going up there. I don't have anything to say. He's going to do the exact same thing he did last year. I can't, or better, or worse. I don't know. We'll see. Herbert, same category right here. I'm not as high as Justin Herbert as I want to be. I think he is better than Jalen Hurts, though. And for that reason, I have him throwing 4,400 yards. and I don't want 39 touchdowns, 12 picks. That's fine. Receiving core is definitely upgraded, though I still don't like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen pisses me off. He is washed. Mike Williams is the best receiver on that team. But I see Keenan Allen maybe getting 900 yards, Mike Williams 1,000. And then, of course, they got Quentin Johnston, who I thought was the best receiver in the draft, who I think could have 1,000 yards. Gerald Everett, still a decent tight end. Eckler, if he doesn't hold out, which I don't think he will, because he because he is fairly productive. He's going to probably have 800, 900 yards, maybe 1,000. Herbert's going to have a pretty good year. I think he's better than Hurts. I think he's a bit overrated, but I don't think he's too much overrated that he's down there. Aaron Rodgers, I want to say 4,000 yards. I got to put him here in the 39, in the 35 to 30 to 40. I see him throwing 3,800 yards, 38. I don't want to say 34 touchdowns, 11 picks. I think that's a down year in picks. That would be good. So I'll put him there. The running game is going to be amazing. Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, Michael Carter is a great trio in my opinion. I need a drink. Sorry. I'll put him there. Receiving core really isn't there aside from Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's going to have a good season. The rest of the group, though, not so much. Allen Lazard isn't horrible. He could put up 600-700 yards. McCole Hardman, same thing. I don't even know who they have at tight. Oh, they have C.J. Uzomah at tight end, don't they? And Tyler Conklin. I don't know how I see that receiving core helping out Aaron Rodgers, so that's why I'm going to put him there. I don't know how high I'm going to be on Aaron Rodgers this year, and I'm going to put him there. Next up, Jared Goff. I don't care. I hate Lions fans. Jared Goff's going here. He is not a good quarterback. I don't care what you say. Just because of how much they're going to throw the ball, that's why I have him at 3,800 yards, 29 touchdowns, 13 picks. They have a good receiving core, but it's so overrated. Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown is still very good. Don't get me wrong. But the rest of that core is not there. Jameson Williams, I'm concerned for him. He's going to be suspended 6 games. Tight end, I don't even know who's starting at tight end. I think Brock Wright is. The running back room is completely different with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I see Jahmyr Gibbs catching a few passes, but it's so weird, this Lions team. They're going to run the ball a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They got both of them. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 for a reason, and Montgomery they traded for a reason. This is a team I cannot say much about the Lions. I don't know what to say. I can't say anything else. This guy down here, Kirk Cousins, 4,400 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14 picks. He's going to throw a lot of picks, but he's going to have a down year. But Justin Jefferson is going to have, like Tyreek Hill, I think Jefferson and Tyreek Hill could both have 2,000-yard seasons, hypothetically. They don't have anyone outside of him, except for Jordan Addison. Who knows how he's going to do. But Justin Jefferson's just going to be open. Outside of... Oh, I forgot T.J. Hawkinson exists. But yeah, the running game's not there. Cousins is going to throw it a lot. He's going to have 4,400 yards. Madison is their starting running back, who I do not trust. So, Kirk Cousins, 4,400 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14 picks. That's going to be a deadly team. I still have the Vikings finishing first in the NFC North. I don't care what any of those stupid Lions fans say. So, he's going there. Marcus Mariota, not going to be there. Desmond Ridder, putting him in this category. I want to say, he's like Sam Howell, he's basically a rookie. He's basically just starting. He started a few games last year. But that running game. And him too. I have him throwing 3,400 yards, 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. But how much he's going to run? He's going to run for 700, 800 yards. The running game is going to have like 3,000 yards. I could see 3,000 yards in the running game. Bijan, Tyler Algier, Cordero Patterson, Marcus Mariota. That's 3,000 yards right there. I don't know what... The Falcons are a strange team. I see the Falcons finishing second in this division just because of how good how good this running game is going to be. He doesn't really have any receivers that he can throw to besides Drake London and Kyle Pitts, but they use them as blockers more than they use them as receivers. I could see Desmond Ridder throwing for like the least amount of passing yards in the league as a team. I could see the Falcons doing that. So yeah, Derek Carr. Derek Carr is going up here. Derek Carr is having a season. Derek Carr is my second MVP camp. No, he's not. He's my fifth. But Derek Carr I know it's preseason, but playing against the Chiefs starters, that's something not to scoff at. Derek Carr looked amazing. Michael Thomas if he's healthy, will do well. Chris Olave proved he can be a great receiver. Who do they have at tight end? I have no clue. They have so many tight ends that they could throw. Each tight end could have like 500 yards. I don't know. Receiver 3, they really don't have one, but I can see him doing really well. First 3 games, Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended, but they still got Jamal Williams, but the run game is not going to be as strong. But Kamara is a good pass-catching back. Carr could have a great season. I think he's going to. That's really all I have to say. Anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed my quarterback rankings. I hope you know that all these rankings are 100% factual. You cannot argue with these, or else you will be executed. I will hopefully have running backs up maybe later, and I'm going to try to get my first Madden 24 not Commanders franchise. It's going to be a new franchise. You'll see on Saturday. I'm going to try to get the first one up. I'll explain everything there. I'll pick my team, and yeah, see you guys later. See you guys next time in my next video. See you guys later. Goodbye.